and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on. I'm awash with this stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavour show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of...
Have you ever had one of those periods, maybe a week or two, where everything just felt, well, at the wrong angle?
Bit off kilter.
Exactly. Or maybe found yourself caught between doing what feels fundamentally right and what feels, safer.
That tension is very real.
Or perhaps you've seen someone get dismissed with a casual, "Oh, I was just joking," when it was pretty clear they were genuinely hurt.
Yeah, that happens far too often.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into a really fascinating slice of life. It's pulled directly from a recent episode of The Archers, the long-running BBC radio drama.
Yes, always reflecting real life, isn't it?
It really is. We've got an audio transcript here that lets us peek behind the curtain, as it were, into several quite compelling character interactions.
Sounds good.
And our mission today is really to unpack the intricate ways these characters navigate conflict.
Okay.
Everything from, those everyday minor spats that can strain relationships, right through to serious, high-stakes moral dilemmas.
Big stuff.
Yeah, and even direct confrontations with, outright prejudice. We want to pull out the core insights on communication, community dynamics, and what it truly means to stand up for what you believe in.
Basically giving you a shortcut to understanding these complex human experiences.
Exactly. So let's start with something I think many of us can relate to. It involves Lindy and Robert, a couple who've been around for a while in the community.
Yep.
They're trying to get past what Lindy calls a funny couple of weeks. It seems Robert was looking after some family pets.
The Leon and Mango situation.
That's the one. And apparently another relative, Lillian, had been asking some, let's say, awkward questions about him managing it all for over a fortnight without Lindy's usual help.
Right, stirring the pot a little, perhaps.
Maybe. And it led to a bit of a misunderstanding between Lindy and Robert.
What's really insightful here, I think, isn't just that they talk about it, but how quickly and effectively they seem to repair things. Lindy says something quite poignant, doesn't she? Everything goes wrong when we're not right. It's like everything's at the wrong angle.
Yeah, that perfectly captures that feeling, that dissonance when things are strained personally.
It's that deep-seated discomfort. When the emotional foundation feels a bit shaky and it affects everything else.
And you see how quickly they work to resolve it? There are apologies.
Acknowledgements.
Clear acknowledgements of feelings, yeah. And a genuine reaffirmation of their bond. Lindy tells Robert he's her absolute favorite person.
And he reciprocates, right, with a bit of humor, too.
He does. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it, of how important it is to actually voice those feelings, even if they seem minor or maybe a bit silly afterwards.
Before they fester into something bigger. Yeah.
Totally. So they quickly make plans for dinner, and Lindy mentions she has a hair appointment coming up with Chelsea.
This really highlights the foundational strength they have. You know, that ability to voice discomfort, accept apologies, and just get back into harmony. It's almost like an emotional muscle memory they've built up.
That's a great way to put it.
It suggests that, consistent, even minor acts of looking after the relationship build that capacity to handle bigger strains later on.
Because they have those patterns of trust and repair already established.
Exactly. Open communication isn't just, talking. It's about the quality of that talking and how responsive you are.
Right. Key to stopping small misalignments becoming major rifts.
Definitely.
And then, almost perfectly timed, Chelsea arrives for that very hair appointment.
Ah.
Okay. So there's some quick, playful banter. First, Lindy resembling a scarecrow, apparently.
Nice.
Robert assures her she looks lovely, of course. Then they talk about Lindy's new hair color, more caramel than ash. Shows trust in Chelsea's expertise.
Standard salon chat, sounds like.
Pretty much. But this seemingly mundane setup quickly leads to something far more serious.
Okay, let's unpack this next bit then. Chelsea's just heard from the police, right? About Marky.
Yes, exactly. Marky being the individual who's been, terrorizing people in the community for a while now.
Serious threat.
Definitely. The police are still looking for him, but they now apparently have so much evidence that we probably won't even need to testify if and when it gets to court.
So, on the surface, that sounds like good news. A step towards justice.
It does sound like that. A real turning point, perhaps. But as often happens, these apparent wins can reveal deeper complexities, can't they?
Absolutely. This raises a big question for us, I think. While the police update gives that sense of progress, that immediate relief, it also really sets the stage for a much deeper moral conflict, something around personal accountability and the tricky path to redemption.
Yeah, it moves us straight past just good news into this really nuanced ethical landscape.
Definitely.
Because here's where it gets really interesting. Emma, another key character, reveals something pretty surprising.
Okay.
George has offered to help catch the bloke who's been harassing you and Jolene, meaning Marky.
George. Wow. Okay, because George has his own, let's say, complicated history in the village. He's made some big mistakes.
Exactly. And Kenton and Jolene, who've been victims of Marky, are relieved by the offer. They confirm it was George's idea. He sounded so happy about it. They think he's trying to make amends and that maybe this could be a good thing for George, too.
So they see it as a chance for him to reintegrate, maybe do something positive.
That seems to be their take on it, yeah.
What's really fascinating here, though, is the clash of perspectives.
Yeah.
The tension between that hope and just profound fear.
Sold you.
George's motivation seems genuine, right? A desire for forgiveness, a chance to right past wrongs, that yearning for redemption. And Kenton and Jolene, well, they're desperate for this whole Marky situation to be over. And they see potential for George to find a positive path. So they embrace it.
They want to believe in him.
They want to believe in his capacity for change, yeah, and his ability to contribute something good.
But Emma is absolutely terrified. And her reaction is just incredibly powerful.
How so?
She compares it to handing a kitchen knife to a baby. Just stark imagery. She argues George is a vulnerable young man in a vulnerable situation.
Okay, so she sees the danger he can be putting himself in.
Exactly. And she reminds Kenton and Jolene very vividly of what Marky has actually done, setting his dog on them.
Right.
Terrorizing them for weeks, trying to poison their cat.
The fire in the shed?
Yes, setting fire to their shed. The trauma is clearly still raw for her. Her fear isn't just theoretical.
Understandably.
She says she had to run to the bathroom and throw up when Amber, George's fiancée, called her all excited and proud about George's plan.
Wow, that's visceral.
It really is. And she asked this chilling question. Can you imagine what could happen to him if someone like Marky finds out that George was in any way involved in his arrest?
That's the core of it, isn't it? The potential for violent retribution.
Yes. Her concern isn't just for George, but for the devastating ripple effects of Marky's known violence.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, it presents this profound ethical dilemma communities often face, right? When does someone's desire for redemption, however sincere it might seem, outweigh the very real potential danger they might face, or even pose to others in that process?
That's the crux of it. Emma's highlighting the real-world violent consequences. She fears this devastating ripple effect.
It goes beyond George's personal journey. It becomes about community responsibility, the limits of forgiveness, that difficult calculation of safety versus a chance at amends.
It forces you to ask, at what point does a community's desire to see someone make amends actually cross into putting that person, or maybe others, in harm's way?
Where do you draw that line between compassion and caution? It's incredibly difficult.
It's a really complex situation. Kenton and Jolene, they do express regret for not talking to Emma first.
Okay, so they acknowledge that.
Yeah, but they still seem to believe it'll be okay. Emma, though, she just cannot be reassured.
Understandable.
Yeah. This isn't just a simple disagreement anymore. It feels like a fundamental clash over how you protect someone vulnerable and how you seek justice responsibly.
The stakes are just incredibly high, not just for George, but for the whole community dealing with the trauma Marky inflicted.
Yeah. Now, while all that drama with George and Marky is unfolding, there's another significant conflict emerging elsewhere. Equally difficult, really.
Okay, what's this one?
Chelsea and Zainab. They recount a run-in they had with a man named Lawrence. He's the chair of the local cricket team, Rosin in the Vale.
Right, and this happened at the golf club.
Yes, the golf club. They'd been there with Martin Gibson. He was giving them lessons at the driving range.
Ah, yes, in exchange for dating advice, wasn't it?
That's the one. Because apparently, Martin was finding it all a bit like a challenge since splitting with his wife.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So what happened with Lawrence?
Well, what's immediately striking is his open hostility. From the get-go, he didn't seem to like us being there.
Okay, not welcoming then.
Not at all. And it quickly escalated. He ended up saying some proper nasty stuff, according to them, not even pretending to be polite.
Wow. Just outright offensive.
Apparently so. Chelsea notes it was more about me, actually, directed at her. And then Lawrence tried to dismiss it all as just joking and banter.
Ah, the banter defense. That classic shield.
Exactly. So it wasn't a misunderstanding. It sounds like deliberate intimidation, deliberate exclusion, just thinly veiled as humor.
Yeah, it perfectly illustrates how banter can be weaponized, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Deliver offensive remarks and then just shrug off any responsibility.
Precisely. And it doesn't stop there. Martin Gibson, to his credit, he did put a complaint into the club.
Okay, good for him.
But when Chelsea and Zanab went back to the club later, Lawrence was still there acting like he owned the place.
Oh, so no consequences, seemingly. That sense of impunity.
Exactly. And this has proper off-put Zanab. She's now seriously reconsidering joining the club at all.
I can understand why. It creates a hostile environment.
Totally. And then Lindy adds another layer. She remembers Lawrence being horrible to Brother Malik previously.
Ah, so it confirms a pattern of behavior. This isn't just a one-off incident.
Doesn't sound like it. It highlights a long-standing issue with this individual and maybe, you know, a wider cultural problem within the club itself.
This raises that important question about systemic issues, doesn't it? Lawrence's behavior isn't just rude or isolated. It sounds like clear misogyny, possibly racism, creating an unwelcoming, even hostile place. And the fact that he acts like the king of golf, dismisses complaints with banter, faces no immediate repercussions,
Yeah.
well, it highlights those deep-seated power dynamics and the profound challenge of actually confronting entrenched prejudice within a social institution like that.
It shows how individual acts of prejudice can kind of be enabled by a culture that maybe implicitly tolerates it or even encourages it.
Exactly. It's incredibly frustrating to witness, isn't it?
It really is. And Robert, trying to help, offers to talk to Lawrence himself. He suggests he'd respect you because Robert is a man.
Appealing to the old boys network, perhaps.
Seems like it. But Chelsea is, well, highly skeptical. She argues Lawrence wouldn't listen. He'd probably just offer to buy you a drink and still insist it was banter.
Yeah, that rings true. It brilliantly captures the limitations of trying to work within traditional power structures when the problem is that structure's bias.
So what does this all mean for Chelsea and Zanab? How do they even navigate a situation that feels so deeply unfair?
Well, it highlights that profound frustration, doesn't it?
Okay.
Direct confrontation often fails when someone refuses to acknowledge fault and just hides behind the banter shield. So their decision to contact the Forsage Gulf Association, that's a really strategic shift.
Going above the local club level.
Exactly. They aim to leverage a higher authority.
Yeah.
They're reframing the issue. It's not just a personal slight anymore.
Right.
It becomes a broader concern impacting the sport's image, its future. They plan to highlight two young women keen on the game, put off the game for life by the outdated and offensive attitudes of a club member, and the club refuses to act.
Turning a personal slight into a systemic issue the association should care about.
Precisely. Not just for them, but because it threatens the future and inclusivity of the sport itself, it's moving beyond individual recourse to seeking institutional change.
Wow. So today we've really navigated quite a tapestry of human interaction, haven't we?
We certainly have.
From, you know, the simple joy and real importance of reconciling with a loved one,
The Lindy and Robert example.
to that terrifying moral quandary around justice and redemption with George.
Yeah, the Emma perspective.
When the deeply frustrating reality of confronting that casual yet deeply damaging prejudice faced by Chelsea and Zanab.
But these aren't just stories from a radio drama, are they? They're reflections of the everyday challenges we all face in our own lives, our own communities.
Definitely.
These narratives, just from one episode, they vividly illustrate that our lives are this constant interplay. Personal choice, community responsibility, and the often demanding courage it takes to challenge injustice.
Whether it's that gentle nudge towards harmony in a relationship, or the bolder, more strategic move to call out harmful behavior within an institution.
Like Chelsea and Zanab going to the association.
Exactly. Every interaction really does have ripple effects. It shapes not just individuals, but the whole community we live in.
Understanding these dynamics is so key to navigating our own complex worlds, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, maybe something for you to think about. Consider the different forms of courage we've encountered today. There's the courage to apologize, that vulnerability in seeking reconciliation,
The courage to seek forgiveness for past mistakes, like George is attempting.
the immense courage to protect someone vulnerable, like Emma's fierce stance.
And that steadfast courage to challenge systemic prejudice, even when it feels entrenched, like Chelsea and Zainab are doing.
So, in your own life, when is it time to offer comfort and mend a rift? When is it time to take a firm stand against injustice? And maybe the hardest part, how do you decide which path to take when the stakes feel truly high?
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just
And,
moving mics around.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the archers. Any
Are you what we call Foley then?
kind of. Yep. That's,
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep. That's the ball bar. That's,
This one.
yep. That's.
Haley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. No. I mean, it would have been a stretch for them financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline. I mean,
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever